everyone. I'm Ben Coleman, one of your many hosts here at the Florida Aviation Network, and we're coming to you live and in the clear at the 45th Annual Sun and Fun International Fly-In and Convention from beautiful Lakeland Linder Regional Airport, Lakeland, Florida. And we have the opportunity to be coming to you from the Florida Air Museum. This is where our set has been collected, and we have volunteers doing all of this work that you see going on in the background. If you don't see it in the background, go to the Florida Aviation Network website. Obi Young is there with his minions, as we call them, and got Jack, Tyler, and looks like Daryl on camera 3. Got our floor manager there, Big Bill, and just a lot goes on behind the scenes here at Sun and Fun. If you haven't been to one of these events, you need to come. And you need to see what's going on across the street at the Central Florida Aerospace Academy. And speaking of the Academy, we happen to have a spokesperson. I think she is pretty high up in the pecking order over at the Academy. Tammy Epperson?
Yes.
Hi, Tammy.
Nice to meet you, Ben.
How are you?
Very good. How about yourself?
You seem busy.
Yeah, but good busy.
Okay. Tammy, tell me a little bit. I know that you're relatively new into the position there. Mm-hmm. And what challenges do you see in your immediate forward? Let's just jump right into it. What challenges do you see in your new role?
The only challenge that I see in the new role would be just making sure that the students not only continue with excelling in their academics, but also taking advantage of every opportunity that's been afforded them and granted to them, and also educating them and their parents and their support network at home of those opportunities. That's about the only challenge for the most part, other than just keeping a great balance.
Well, and I've got to share with the folks that we did come across each other earlier. You were holding the door for us as you were patrolling the halls. That's right. Looking for strays.
Mm-hmm. That's right, yes, yes. And always keeping track of what everyone is doing, that's true. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and tell me, how long have you been in that role?
So I've been an assistant principal for a good number of years with Polk County Schools, but I moved over to Central Florida Aerospace Academy in August. August,
well that's, okay, it's still the honeymoon.
Yes, yes, this is my initiation into the fly-in as an administrator here at CFAA.
Great. Mm-hmm. All right, Tammy, I'm going to put you on the spot because we didn't get a chance to communicate much before this, but being here at the Central Florida Aerospace Academy and the Aerospace Center for Excellence from the Florida Air Museum with all these beautiful aircraft hanging around, how much flight time do you have?
I got a little over 20 hours and I'm still a student.
Excellent, excellent. We're all students. You're never not a student. You quit being a student when they either sprinkle you out somewhere or plant you in the ground.
Have to agree. Being in education, I say that's a lifelong commitment to being a student and learning something new every day. And so this is a new experience too, because I had not flown anywhere or tried to even obtain a pilot's license until I took the position. And so I started in November-ish, doing that on the weekends while, of course, we get acclimated to the ever-changing and evolving educational programs at CFAA.
Good.
And it's been fun. Challenging, but a good challenge.
What aircraft have you been flying?
A Piper, a Cherokee Piper.
A Piper PA-28?
Yes, PA-28.
PA-28 dash?
Dash me, no. Yeah, just it's a PA's 681, no, yeah, 68128, I believe is what they call it.
Okay, that's 181?
I would guess it'd be a 181. Okay. It's over at Sunrise. You have to forgive me.
That's
Still learning.
I put you on the spot on purpose.
That's good.
But I know about, you will be successful with your private pilot certificate, I'm sure.
Okay.
Or whatever level you want to take your career.
Excellent, I'll hold you to it.
You will be a success.
Okay.
However, helping the young folks across the street with their successes, you haven't had the opportunity to see them come in as greenhorns and leave on the other end certificated airmen.
Right. I have had an opportunity to meet some of the students who have earned their private pilot, and some of them, and the students that have come in this year that are working towards ground school. And it's amazing how they come in and they're really excited, and then they get a little, challenged, and it's like, oh, they just don't feel like they're going to be able to do it. But then they come back on the other end and they're so excited because of what they've achieved. So I look forward to seeing those students move into the next phase, which would be working towards that private pilot and where they plan on going.
Well, Tammy, we shook hands once, but
yes, sir.
looks like those hands could use a wrench and a little bit of oil and grease on them.
Oh yeah.
How about mechanics?
Mechanics too, are you kidding? Absolutely.
Okay.
I have had an opportunity
I wasn't just trying to hold your hand.
No, you're fine. I had an opportunity actually to watch our students that are sitting in the A&P program, and as well as the avionics and even in the engineering.
Now A&P, what does that mean?
The airframe and power plant, those are the students that are working towards certification, AMT certification, some of them earn, and then also working towards the airframe part, which hopefully this year will be the first year that we anticipate they'll have enough hours to have earned airframe, and then they'll go into potentially the power plant, which would be the adult ed. So we have students that might very well be able to walk into those positions, saving them about a year and a half worth of school before they graduate high school.
That's great. And I tell you, I'm a mechanic by trade. That's how I cut my teeth in aviation. And maintenance, I don't want to take anything away from the pilots out there, but maintenance is where it's at. That's where it's at, really.
Interestingly enough, I have students that have actually earned their private pilot, but they're also participating in the avionics and or the A&P because their anticipation is to maybe get their commercial pilot license potentially, but if not, they want to also know how the inner workings of their aircrafts are and also broaden their horizons as far as their opportunities are within aviation itself, within the community. So I commend them because they're learning the ins and the outs of the craft.
Here's a little factoid, a little tidbit, bar fact, if you will. I'm sorry, academia fact. Chuck Yeager, does that name ring a bell to you?
It does, but I would have to. I'm a face person, so I would have to see faces.
He broke this first man to break the speed sound barrier.
That's right. Yes.
Okay, and he was also a fighter pilot, but he was a mechanic before anything in the military, and the reason that they took him into the flight aspect was because of his knowledge of systems and his knowledge of the structure of the aircraft. So that really gave him a leg up, and it gives not only him or her. We're neutral. We're in aviation. Ladies, women in aviation, Peggy Shabian. We just gave her a ride yesterday. Melody and I were out on the golf cart, and Women in Aviation is a very, very strong organization.
Yes.
And you talk about professionalism. These folks do it well and do it right.
Absolutely.
And I encourage both men, women, girls, boys to get involved, and maintenance is a good way to start.
Absolutely. I tell the students all the time, regardless of what they're going to get involved in, they got to educate themselves on what it is that they want to pursue so they can speak educatedly about whatever it is that they're going to do as a profession. And hence the reason I tell them, I don't know everything. I'm on a very large learning curve. I don't know a lot about what they have already learned. And so I tell them that they're teaching me, along with hopefully all of the network that we have, teaching them at all times. And with that, I think it humbles me, honestly, with knowing how much those kids can actually teach me. I've been through a few, shall we say, quasi-lessons with a few of the students whenever they talk to me about their mechanic parts or their avionics. And I find that rather interesting that they're full of information that they can teach many of us who are not as well versed in the industry. It's not just those that have been around for years and years and years. It's actually even the youth that are actually continuing to pursue those kind of innovative ideas and grow within the industry that can teach us as well.
And from your position, from an administrator, and I've got to admit, my daughter, she was an assistant principal at a middle school. And the challenges are, it's not only making sure the kids, young adults are there to learn, but being punctual, being respectful, cleaning up after yourself. You see something on the ground, pick it up. You know, there's just some common decency things that I know that you folks really drive it home over at the CFAA facility.
Absolutely. One of the core components of the entire organizational outfit there is the sense of community. I, along with the rest of the staff and administration, continuously remind the students this is their community, this is their village, and that we need them just as much as that we hope that they need us, and that it's a team effort for us to all see them pursue what it is they intend to pursue in life and be the best them they can be. And so that's why we tell them to broaden their horizons and help us build this place into one of the most amazing facilities that you can have in education, which is what our intent is.
And again, talking with lights, it's so important for CFAA to be duplicatable.
Absolutely. And build the capacity.
There's people trying to to duplicate what has been done here in Polk County, all the way across the nation.
Absolutely.
But it takes a lot of dedication. It does take some funding, but more dedication and support, and the funding will be there.
Absolutely.
Field of Dreams?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
if you build it, they will come. Right, exactly. As a matter of fact, it's funny that you mentioned that, because we just received, we had a 5-year review for Model School with NCAC, which is a coalition for academies. And we were recognized once again as a model school. We got that information about 2 days ago, made the announcement, and celebrated it there.
Wow, congratulations.
With our students as well as with our community, sent out to parents. Couldn't have been done without the business partners, of course, and all of the individuals who helped to share the vision. And we hope we'll continue with that. And as far as building capacity, we've had several educational networks from out of the state come and visit the school because they want to tour it to see what we've done. And it's not a tour, look what we've done. It's more of a tour, come see what can be done with a really good network of individuals supporting a mission.
Tammy.
Yes, sir.
Do the kids, yes, sir, make me feel so old. I am old. But Tammy, the folks over there, are they aware of your flight training?
Yes, actually the students are regularly asking me, how many hours do you have in now, Miss Epperson? Oh, so you've already learned about stalls. Oh, so you're already now learning about your landings. And I'm like, yeah, you want to give me a couple of tips?
Well, that's the kind of chit chat you normally don't get from an administrator at a high school. And it's so refreshing to get, that interaction. And it's really, it's a common, it puts you on a common ground with the students. And there's some, you're not just the principal or assistant principal, you're not just administration, you're one of them.
Absolutely. I believe that with any of the students I've encountered. I was actually a middle school assistant principal before here. And I am on their common ground. We're all human beings and we all want to be successful. And in raising kids myself, the one thing I want to do as my task is help spread the word that every human being has the opportunity to be the best they can. And the more of those I touch, the better off I feel that I am, as well as hopefully I can just add a little bit of a piece of opportunity, or at least knowledge of how to get opportunity to any of the kids I encounter. We are on the same working level. We want the same thing for them.
Boy, the challenges in your era, your generation, in my generation, at our high school, we had Mr. Williams. And Mr. Williams had a paddle. Oh. And you step out of line and Mr. Williams would put those little holes and dimples that he had in that paddle and put an impression on your behind. We can't do that these days. How do you, this is a loaded question, how do you get their attention when you've got someone that doesn't walk out of bounds, but they go right up to the line, and if you don't turn them back around, there's going to be some trouble. How do you get their attention?
In most cases, it's just taking the time to explain where that could lead you, or even have them rationalize what that could do or not do. I tell the students that maybe they procrastinate on some assignments, and I'm like, okay, but timing is super important too, because you have to be able to demonstrate what you know. You can tell me you know it, but if you don't demonstrate, it's kind of hard for us human beings to realize and to believe that you can do it. So I continuously tell the students, the same thing is like, tell me what will work for you. Ultimately, I don't believe in good kids, bad kids. I don't believe in good schools, bad schools. I totally believe that it has to be a fit. And if it's not fitting right, find out why. I said spend more of your energy on solving the problem and less energy complaining about it, and it's amazing what we can get done. And in most cases, it works. They're great.
And Tammy, in all honesty, I only heard about Mr. Williams' paddle. I never really saw it.
That's a good thing.
I don't think I did.
I'll have to ask around.
But the students that you have over there, they've already met a certain threshold. What are the requirements of the curriculum? I mean, a certain grade point average. I mean, they have to be accepted in there. And usually if somebody's going to put themselves out and make an application, they're usually going to be the best and brightest.
It comes down to this. I go back to interest. So the criteria, because we're basically a satellite academy of Kathleen High School. So what we are is we are an academy for public schools. If you're zoned for Kathleen, the students can actually request to take electives that are on CFAA's campus. If you're out of zone, you can actually apply through Workforce Education on Polk County's website. They open up that window usually in the fall, winter, it's November, right after what they call the Workforce Education Expo. And they also open another window of opportunity in March. basically anyone can apply for it. So there's really not that criteria. The criteria is when you come in, there's a commitment. So part of the commitment, of course, is being willing to volunteer for student experiences such as the fly-in. But in addition to that, they have to maintain good academic standing. And it's not because only students who have a 3.5 or a 4.0 can participate, because we have students that are great mechanics or could be great in avionics and technology that maybe not necessarily have that high GPA, but they still have a passion for it, so I want the opportunity to be there. But they can't get themselves in an academic position where they would need a remedial course that I would have to take an elective away opportunity, which makes them ineligible to participate in an elective at the school. They have to be working towards industry certification. They have to be working towards those accelerations in science and in math. But, and that's where that academic requirement comes in. But no student gets denied at the point of entry to join and participate in the CFAA simply because of a GPA. It has to be more. They have to maintain the eligible components in their schedule to participate in an elective that's industry cert.
And you do encourage your students to volunteer.
Absolutely.
As a matter of fact, I think we have 2 of them here on camera, 2 and 3.
Yeah, they better have a soft lens.
Oh, so, well, in my case, a slimming lens.
Okay, there you
in your case, a soft lens.
Exactly.
But, oh, by the way, and Obi Young, out in our trailer, Obi Young 2, he loves your white shirt.
Oh, okay, I'll tell him.
Because what that does to the cameras, it just blinds the cameras.
Oh, well, there you go. So that'll soften the lens for me.
That was for you, Obi, too. All right. But anyway, so much goes on here, and I do not want to take away from the aspects of safety. We're here to try and promote, well, we're not trying, we are promoting safety. At the school and the academy, how do we promote that aspect over there through either direct or indirect exposure to the students about this industry is built on assuredness, no neglect, no carelessness, to be safe and prevent accidents. Don't get hurt around these airplanes. And that's from the maintenance guys and gals to the folks that are actually wiggling the controls.
Yep.
What methods do you guys use over there and employ to fortify the safety message?
Well, great question, because one of the things that I always say is the best way to maintain safety is to educate. So we don't hinder exposure to things simply because of the fear of what may happen. What we do is we educate you on how to handle those situations. We have some lab-oriented programs, so the students are actually able to use some simulations. They actually are also learning through the safety criteria associated with aviation. So and any other part, engineering, it could be the avionics, it could be the mechanical part. So students are required to follow all safety measures that are afforded through Polk County Schools, as well as the teachers. These teachers are very conscientious of a student's safety measure. So what they do is they bring them to the point, because of their expertise, of that exposure without extending it beyond a student's ability. And again, we go back to educating them. Once they've mastered a certain level of educational demonstration in the forms of safety and knowledge, then they get into the next step, which would be the next opportunity to be exposed to things. Pardon. But that would be really what the focus is to educate, and to educate not just the concepts of the content areas, but also to educate on the safety measures that are necessary to maintain a safe and operable program.
Well, that all goes a very, very long way in adding to the safety culture. And without the proper safety culture, you will not have a safety system.
Absolutely.
And so that culture is, ouch, that hurt. I didn't hear anybody scream, so it didn't get a toe.
Good. They were safe.
Anyway, but the safety culture is what we really try to drive home for the entire industry.
Absolutely.
And when there is, to promote that safety culture, when someone does do something, and we're all human, we're going to make mistakes.
Absolutely.
Hopefully you strive to pull that out and make a positive example rather than a negative example of look what Teresa did.
Yep.
And Teresa, would you like to share with us why you did that and what you're going to do to prevent it from happening again?
That's actually the first question I ask for any student that makes any kind of error, a measure of error. But be it a grade, be it a conduct, be it a safety feature, is, okay, so what was the mistake? What did you learn from it? Because ultimately, we didn't get where we are today in all of this industry without a tremendous number of mistakes and what we learn from them. So that is the core component in conversation that I have with students, and I know our staff does the same thing, is what have you learned? And as long as they've learned something, we know that we will continue to grow and we'll begin to improve what we already have here.
Well, and actually getting folks, you know that you've arrived with the ultimate safety culture when you have students coming to you reporting things that nobody else saw. Because usually when somebody screws something up, the first thing they do is, did anybody see me do that? Well, if they didn't see me, I'm not caught. Well, report yourself.
Own it. That's what I tell the kids all the time.
Fess
own it.
up.
Own your education, own your opportunity, own your future, own your mistakes. That's the only way you learn.
Well, that's the way that we're going to learn, and that's the way that we thank you very much.
Oh, thank you so much, sir.
For your efforts, and good luck with that challenge.
Oh, you know.
I want to hear when you get that 40-hour mark and when you go on your long solo cross country.
I'm so loud in the cafeteria. Whenever I have to get, some attention from the students, I told them, I said, they could hear me across town. I have a really good, strong feeling y'all will hear me across town if I can get that done.
Well, we're going to check back in with you, Tammy. Thanks for joining us.
Have a great one. Thank you.
Thank you. And we're going to close this interview out and look for something going on here at the Sun and Fun campus. I think they've got an air show later on today, and all sorts of manufacturers, vendors, suppliers. So much going on. Come join us here at the 45th Annual International Fly-In and Expo here at Sun and Fun.